My name is Robert Najemy. I'm an American living in Athens, Greece for 50 years and have the honor today to be able to ask a number of questions to Steve Rother, author of many books, and through whom the group of 9 souls answer our questions and help us to understand ourselves, life, and our future, and our life purpose. I would like to express my deepest gratitude to you, Steve, and to the group for this opportunity to ask these questions, because I think we need them at this time of humanity in which you really need help to feel positive about things.
I absolutely agree. Thank you, Robert. I'm very honored to be here with you today and looking forward to this a lot. So we will play. I'm going to bring us both in together, and then I'll go into channel here for a moment and come back.
Okay.
Greetings from home, dear ones. I am the Keeper of Time. I join you at such a very unique space in your world. You are changing. Things are shifting rather rapidly at this point. We'll be more than happy to help you understand a little bit of what is taking place with you and where the possibilities are. For you are at a junction right now that is absolutely incredible. You have opportunities to go further into the density or start lightening up. It's entirely up to you. And we also tell you there's no right or wrong about it. What you choose is entirely up to you. Enjoy the journey. Now, let's begin with some of the questions.
Thank you very much. We understand that actually there is no right or wrong, as you just mentioned. So the question is, how is the reality of morality, whatever creates harmony or not harmony, expressed in the 5th dimension? How do we replace good and evil in this dimension and function properly?
Excellent question. Good and evil do not exist in the 5th dimension. They exist in a different realm. Please understand that the 5th dimension that we're speaking about has levels and layers like everything that you would see. But the truth of the matter is, you are going through these different increments. So even though you're well into the 5th dimension right now, you're still dealing with much of the challenges of a 3rd dimensional reality. So this takes some time to step through to reach levels of the 5th dimension. Now, one of the things that we will speak of is Lemuria. Lemuria actually came very close to being a 5th dimensional reality before the water started to come in. But what happened is very simple. You were connected in Lemuria. You had huge heart chakras, and you could feel each other's energy. Now, that changes everything. But what takes place is here in the lower dimensions of the 3rd dimension, it's important for you to have right or wrong, good, bad, up or down, all the opposites, so that you have contrast. As you raise into a higher vibrational state, that is still there, but it becomes less important and less pronounced. So we can't say that it's going completely away. Yes, you'll still have things that you consider to be good, you consider to be bad, but it will become less important. And what you will find is that ultimately there will be no black and white. It's all shades of gray. And if you look at it at that perspective, you can start to choose your reality much clearer. I hope that answers it.
Yeah, the answer that I received was that when there is love, we don't need morality. So the love takes place of the issue of morality. Okay, the next question is, what are the most common obstacles to letting go of the 3rd dimension and functioning in the 5th? The most common obstacle?
Well, as we mentioned, it will be in levels, so it's not a jump from one to the other. You have third dimensional commitments that you are making throughout your world right now. Many of you have children. Some of you have grandchildren. Some of you have jobs. Some of you support things in different ways. So as you move into the fifth dimension, there still will be times where you have to seemingly lower yourself into the third dimension to take care of some of these challenges. So give yourself a wide berth to go into this and understand that it's going to be much smoother than you generally understand. So those are the biggest pieces of it. So what are the biggest challenges about it? Your belief systems. Very simple. You must change many of your belief systems in order to open to the possibilities of truly anchoring a fifth dimensional reality. And that's difficult for humans. It happens with many of you that lead the way, but then the collective vibration doesn't always catch up. So you have this wide gap of belief systems, of understandings, and so forth. So the tolerance becomes huge at this point. The willingness to be open to everything, to start accepting on different levels, and look at something, and instead of, as we mentioned, calling it good or bad, or simply pretty, you simply say, this is for me at this moment, and this may be for me later, but not at this moment. I hope that helps.
Okay, yeah, I agree 100%. What are some of the most effective ways in which we can connect with and maintain our connection to our higher self? The most effective ways to connect to and maintain our contact with our higher nature.
Practice, practice, practice. It's very simple. Humans are repetitive. In other words, you learn through repetition. It might be interesting for you to understand that when you hear a piece of new music, you don't really know whether you like it or not until you've heard it 2 or 3 times. That is the nature of the universal energy around you. So as you start to connect to your higher self, in the very beginning, it's going to feel a little odd, strange, like you're talking to a stranger in some way, if you have never done it before. Now, for those of you who do this on a regular basis, you find it much easier to connect. It's almost as if your higher self has a personality of its own. And that's perfect, because it allows you to connect not only to the other side of the veil, but also to your other dimensions, where you have hidden much of your own perfection. That is magical at this point. And that is happening on a global basis right now.
What are some of the methods? You say practice, practice, practice. What methods can we practice to get into that state?
Those are entirely up to you. Meditation is one of the biggest pieces, but we understand you've been doing these things for a very long time. You have prayer, you have meditation. The keeper uses vagus breaths in his techniques. All of these techniques will take you to the same place. Decide what works for you. And again, release judgment about which one is the best or which one works. Each person can decide for themselves what works for them. That makes the practice so much easier.
So except for the practice, in the moment when we lose our awareness and we get involved emotionally, what can we remember? What truth can help us, like a lifesaver, to get out of that emotional reaction?
That is the word, reaction. That is what causes many decisions, challenges. It is how humans can be controlled, and quite often are. You see things that will anger you, that will frustrate you, and you feel like you must do something about it in some way. They end up pushing you into making decisions. And it's not bad. Everyone tries to control everyone else. So let's take the energy off of that word control for a moment and simply know that every time you see an advertisement in a newspaper or on your television, you're trying to be controlled. It's very simple stuff. You do it on a regular basis. Now, what is this about this? Because if you have a reaction, can you turn it into an action? That is the piece. Now, that means stepping back, what we call stepping back. If you basically step back far enough in the timeline with someone you have a difference with or something that you are having a reaction to, you'll find that you're all connected. You're all, even though two people may have totally different views, they were born of the same place. They were born from the same. You were connected at home. You are connected here, but you can't see it. So if you can find that connection and for just a moment walk in someone else's shoes that you're having this difference with, that will start bringing you back to the times of Lemuria when you could walk in density with that connection.
Yeah, that's really important to be able to focus on what the other person is feeling. What I do is I have the belief that nothing is by chance and that everything that happens is an opportunity for me to grow and is to let go of something, attachment, or to function differently. And that helps me a lot, is that there is no chance. So let me ask this. Is there any chance at all? Is everything happening exactly as it used to happen for my evolution? Or can there be a chance at all?
The truth is, you are creator beings. You can even create chance events. So we will tell you there are no limitations to your creations. And yet, for the most part, the being able to live in the synchronicities, which is the word we're going to use for it, you have set many of these up. You've asked to be here. You've asked to be guided. You connect through your higher self. You ask the other side of the veil for help. And then when it shows up, you have to interpret it. So you may not see the words written in the sky that clearly planned it out for you, but you may see an open door. You may see something of that nature. To learn to live in a synchronistic lifestyle where you are reading these signs from home, you will find yourself on the path of least resistance very quickly. These are wonderful ways to live.
So acceptance is an important aspect of it. I'm not in danger. This is something that's happening to help me on my path.
If you look at all the really negative things that have happened in your life so far, most people would never change a thing. If they had the chance to go back, they would not change what took place to them because they ended up benefiting from it. As a spirit on the other side of the veil, you choose and set up some of these difficulties so that you can gain it. When it happens to you, you go, oh, what happened to me? I'm unlucky, I'm bad, I'm sad, all the other human reactions that you have. But the moment you set your energy to go forward in this way, it works very well. I'll tell you a very quick story. The keeper was with one of his teachers very early on in his work, and she was taking him to lunch. Now, she was driving this big vehicle, and she was a terrible driver, horrible. She would be talking to the keeper while she was driving. It was a real mess, wasn't working, and she hit the car in front of us. So she turns to the keeper at that moment. She says, watch this. He starts to get out of the car, and she says, no, you stay. She gets out of the car. She goes, opens the door. The man gets up, looks at the back of his car, and starts to get angry. And she's just sitting there smiling. She turns and looks at the keeper in the car still, and she smiles. She comes back to him. After he blew off his steam, a couple of minutes later, they are both laughing. Interesting. She was still at fault. She still had to go through his process. But he ended up buying us lunch. That was an interesting process because she changed the energy from the moment that she said, watch this. So you get a piece of mail in the mail. You look at the return address and you go, oh, this could be really bad trouble. This is not what I wanted. You slide the opener in there, you open it up, but before you pull it out, decide how you're going to treat it. Decide no matter what is in there, that it's going to turn out to be something very powerful. You're creator beings. It's a perfect way to use it. Back to you.
Thank you. So can we say that there are no accidents and there is no injustice?
there is injustice perpetrated by many on planet Earth. You do not have guidelines that keep you from that. But the accidents are generally not. There are no last-minute synchronicities unless you set something into motion. You do not create everything on the other side of the veil. You create things as you walk down the street. You change your life on a regular basis. So all of these are possible. But the injustices can certainly take place. But the question is, how are you going to deal with it? Are you going to step back, or are you going to get angry? These are different processes. You can turn the reaction into a positive action if you step back far enough and you see that you're all connected.
So can we say that there are unjust actions and unjust people, but there are no people to whom an unjust act can take place because it's a choice? It's their choice to have that as a learning experience, that there's unjust people, unjust actions, but not people who are victims, that they have chosen that experience. Can we say that or not?
You can. You can say that, and yet if you are in the throes of the injustice, it's very difficult to see it.
Difficult.
Very challenging to take responsibility in that way, but that is absolutely true. Even horrible things that take place. Holocaust, horrible situation. 8 million spirits actually agreed to make a huge imprint in humanity by giving their lives, by being tortured, by all the horrible things that take place. Those things are still happening today. It doesn't mean that there's not victims, but victims that have actually chosen the process.
Yeah. Okay, it's difficult to watch.
Yes.
So the big question that everyone asks, since we are perfect as spirit, why do we need to evolve in the mental and physical dimensions? Why was the illusion of separation and free will necessary at all?
The difficulty lies in trying to cross over between finiteness and infinity. You are in a finite world. You have beginning and end to everything except energy. Energy flows, it never dies, it changes form. However, there are very few infinite things in your world. Your spirit is infinite. Your spirit does not need. But also, in an infinite world where there is no definition, because there is no beginning and end, which is basically home or heaven, if you wish, the reality is one cannot perceive themselves. Now, interestingly enough, everything is evolving. We can even tell you that even though you are perfect spirits, God, if you will, which is the collection of all spirits, is evolving. How does it evolve? It can only evolve by seeing itself. So you break apart, you incarnate, you pretend to be separate, and what do? You look for answers. The early humans looked to the sky. They prayed to the sun. They prayed to the moon. They prayed to the stars. You pray to different religions and so forth, all in looking for higher answers. You're basically looking back at the whole, trying to perceive it. And that evolves everything, including what you would call God.
So I'm hearing that the divine itself is in the process of evolution. Oh, is this what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, so there is perfection but evolution at the same time. That we are.
Yes.
Okay, difficult for us to understand.
Again, infinity is not possible to completely understand on your side. That's correct.
I think you've already answered this, but I'll ask it one more time. If all forms of human interaction are results of contracts, does the soul who plays the role of the aggressor accumulate karmic responses? Can the perpetrator choose not to play that role? So is karma created when I have made an agreement with someone to harm me? Does she create karma or not?
Sometimes they're actually settling karma. Sometimes they have a karmic charge on the other side, and by playing that role, they are able to settle things. So there are differences. Karma is not a perfect score-keeping system, if you will. It's an energy form that allows natural balance to take place throughout the universe. Now, when you are on the other side of the veil, you make contracts. And sometimes you will reach across and you will say, will you be my best friend? And will we be business partners? And at some point, will you steal all the money and walk away so that I can learn acceptance? If that's possible, we can do that and so forth to be able to work with it in that way. So what takes place is that many times beings come in, they start to work with this. Do they create karma? Sometimes they're settling karma. So it works in both directions for the most part. We can't say yes or no to that question. It's not quite that simple.
Okay, thank you. My camera seems to be going off continuously. I don't know why. Okay. How might a soul who is functioning from the fifth dimension react differently to the following stimuli or triggers than when in the third? The same soul, confronted with criticism. So how might we react differently?
The challenge here is the fact that you had to come from the first dimension, which is unity, home, everything connected. You went through the second dimension where you gained duality. You started to see things as up, down, good, bad, right, wrong, all the differences. Your physical appearances have gained that attribute as well. That's why you have two of many things, even in a world of threes. But there's much more to that, because what takes place is you also had to grab an ego at that point. And the ego gives you a sense of self, which you truly needed. However, many people react to that ego. So as you are moving through the fourth dimension to anchor fully in the fifth dimension, which you are in now, the reality is you must readjust your egos to see yourself as part of a huge collective rather than individuals. And that will help.
And if we were making a theater play, okay, and we were making how the person in the fifth dimension is going to react to criticism differently than the person in the third dimension, he would be more understanding. He would not need the acceptance of the other person. He wouldn't be intimidated by the criticism. What would be the difference? Is there anything we can describe?
Criticism can be a wonderful way to evolve. The truth of the matter is, many times criticism is meant to hurt. It's meant to cause an emotional reaction in some way. When it is used in that way, it is not what we call a constructive criticism. It's a negative criticism. So you simply let those things flow. You know, the Keeper did some wonderful exercises in his early seminars about exactly this. He had two people pair off and simply find the ways to yell at each other, to make insults to each other, and allow that person to really dig deep, find something that could aggravate, and let it flow past you. Simply let it flow. It's negative energy. You do not have to take it. You can hear it. You can also let it flow right past you and learn to smile your way through it. Then you can engage the head and the heart later rather than react. You can come forward with an action rather than a reaction.
Okay, I understand, and I agree. When we make a mistake, okay, we're in the fifth dimension, we're functioning from that level, and we have made a mistake which has been harmful for other people. How will we react differently than when we're in the third dimension?
It's very simple. You must understand that there's so many parts of this that you cannot see. So when one is making a mistake, it's a mistake. You are not perfect. Perfection is not allowed on planet Earth, which is why you divide up into all your dimensional realities. You basically hide a little bit of your spirit perfection in each one of your dimensions. So allow yourself to be human. It's human to be able to make mistakes. So forgive yourself right off the bat. Ask forgiveness from the people who you may have harmed. If there is a way to settle energy, offer that settlement. And even if it's not, even if you've caused such damage that there's no way that you could settle or repay this energy, forgiveness is a huge part, and being able to forgive yourself sets the energy to make the highest potential out of what you would call a mistake.
Thank you. Again, from the fifth dimension, dealing with the loss of a loved one, say a spouse or a child, how will we experience that differently?
The truth of the matter is you will not change much of the way that you experience grief in the fifth dimension. Grief is a huge vacuum. It basically changes much of your energies. What we suggest, even in the third dimension, even where everyone is that humans learn about it. There's such a fear about talking about it. Every single human is going to experience death multiple times in their life, plus their own death. Why are you not teaching this in your schools? Why not teach this to your children? You would be preparing them for a fifth dimensional reality, which would be very simple. But the fear of this unknown of dying has caused great challenges and basically slowed down the evolution of humanity in general. This is an area you can all work with, especially in what you call the spiritual arena. This is perfect for the work you're doing.
In our self-knowledge seminar, we have 10 classes on this, dealing with our own evolution, our own death, and the death of loved ones.
Beautiful.
Do anxiety and fear play any positive role in the human evolution, except for connecting with truths that allow us to transcend them? Are they needed in any way, anxiety and fear?
In the lower third dimension, they were really helpful. In the lower dimensions, even of the low third dimension, which you have evolved out of many years ago, these were very helpful. They basically help to ensure the survival of humanity in the beginning of humanity, much like fear, much like judgment, much like many of these aspects. You would touch the hot plate on something, and you would learn. You would call it bad. It wasn't bad, but you would call it that in order to learn to evolve. And then as you grow, you start to realize that's not bad. It can be very useful. I made a mistake. I learned something from it. So the way you deal with these will change. And that's starting right now.
Hopefully, yeah. How might sexual union be different in the third and fifth dimension? Can we say there may be a different kind of communing in sex?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You have, again, such almost like death. You have great fear about sex, about talking about it. It has been misused, still to this day, hugely misused on your planet. It's used for all sorts of things that we never dreamt of. It's used for revenge. It's used, your armies basically still go into territories sometimes, and that's the first thing they do is rape the women and kill the men. It is unbelievable low third dimensional realities. Releasing much of this allows a different aspect. You'll find many things changing. You're seeing much of it already. You have been hiding many of the attributes that were misunderstood, what you call being gay, what you call trans, all these different aspects are beautiful aspects of love, plain and simple. So if you remove your judgment from them, because none of them can harm you, they're only your personal choice. And if you re-evaluate all of this, that is a fifth dimensional place. And not to be in fear of many of these aspects. This actually is changing greatly on planet Earth. Now, how will the actual physical reunion work? Well, as we mentioned before, you're roughly in the third dimension, about 80% human and about physical rather, and about 20% spirit. And those will change. How does the spirit make love? Well, that is a fascinating aspect. And we will simply tell you, Once you learn to do this in the fifth dimension, you will never go back. The reality is you start creating much of the vibrations that we live in all the time on this side of the veil.
There are some tantric traditions that state that the loss of sperm for the male can inhibit his spiritual process. Is that true?
If you believe it's true, it's true. You're creator beings, so you live by your own rules. Is it written in the annals of spirituality? No, it is not.
Okay. How is it that when at least 90% of humans desire peace, just a few leaders can create war and destruction? Let me add to that it seems like the leaders are supposedly a reflection of the consciousness of the people. But are the leaders that we have today that are creating wars, are they reflections of the consciousness of the people?
No.
What's happening?
You have been controlled, very simply. And again, we don't say this as a fear-based or a conspiracy-based thing. You know this has been happening. You know that sometimes when you go to vote for a leader, or when a leader takes place and wants your agreement, that you have choice. But if you are making that choice as an emotional reaction, then they have you. Now, also, please understand something. In the United States in particular, this is playing out in great form. The United States has a two-party system. That is a problem. You have gone back and anchored yourselves into duality. Now, please understand this. If you have ever considered yourself to be on one side or the other, you have been successfully divided. So think that through first. Look at all the aspects. There is no perfectly good and perfectly bad. Take the attributes from both. Take the attributes from all. Do not call yourself one or the other. Yes, you may vote in this way. Yes, you may want these attributes to come into your government. You may choose differently. And the other aspect about all this is the money. The money plays a huge part in all of these decisions. And we don't mean this necessarily as large amounts of money controlling you. Each and every one of you makes decisions at times having to do with money. You all must make a living. You all must do certain things. And many times you will choose about money, thinking that a government is going to bring more money into your world or something of that nature. That allows the money, the large aspects of money, the people and corporations with the most money to be in charge. Right now, in the United States, one of the greatest fears of many presidents has taken place. It's called the industrial war complex, and it is running the United States, plain and simple. That is done through money. And the interesting part, it's your money they're using.
So this movement towards nationalism, not only in America, also in Europe now, and taking care of us and our own and not caring about what happens to the rest of the world, it's a movement of separatism.
Yes.
I don't know how long it's going to last. Will it change? How long is it going to take to change and return to unity again?
That's what we're asking you. That is what we are looking for humans to do. We'll tell you this. You have a tremendous opportunity to slow down the pendulum, which is swinging wildly, to slow it down and actually stop the reverse flow in 2026. It's a possibility. It's the first possibility in a long time to change it in that drastic motion. But you have that right before you right now. And we are watching and praying, give you the opportunities to be able to switch this around. But it's entirely up to humans. Now, we've talked about the industrial war complex. We've talked about the money. We've talked about the people that tend to control you and so forth. No one can do that unless you agree to it. Agree differently. Very simple. It takes time. Yes, you will find resistance as you go forward in a new path, but these are opportunities to change everything. It is possible now to start a different process and to understand that everyone is on this planet together. The fascinating part is you have all these ETs that are showing up in your world. They're making themselves known. They've also made themselves known that you will not be able to have a nuclear war. They have stopped it already, and they will stop it again if that happens. However, you are on the planet of free choice, and that is what is taking place in different ways. So as you get close to some of these things, you can back down. You can start to bring new leaders in, not the strong authoritarian types of leaders that you think are going to lead you into being better than the other governments. The idea is not a competition. It's a unity. That unity is breaking apart right now for very simple reasons. It has a lot to do, again, with the industrial war complex that is really moving things through, and the money itself. And we're talking about these things as if they are bad, but they are people. They are governments. They are also monetary. You call them businesses, but basically they're big ones. And they control a lot of things behind the scenes that you're unaware of. These things can change. They shift because they exist because they are allowed to exist. In the United States, people want to feel safe. So they have built a huge industrial complex of war. The war machine is huge here, so much so that it has actually protected other countries in different ways. After World War II, much of Europe decided that was enough. We're not going to actually make a huge army anymore. We're not going to do that. And as a result, they're a bit vulnerable. So, but by making the connection where you all work together, even NATO was an excellent move in these directions. And much of the money, much of the industrial war complex is working very hard to break that apart. Turn around, look at these possibilities. And please don't ever label a country by its people. Its people are not the country. You'll find different aspects throughout every single country. Connect in those ways, and all of this will change.
I hope so. And my only solution is to live simply, frugally, and to pray for everybody. Those who I believe are the aggressors and those who I believe are the victims, to pray for them all, that we all connect to a higher selves. I don't know much what I can do more. I feel that responsibility, but I don't know what else to do.
That's what you're doing, teaching it. That's perfect. That's exactly, even expressing the frustration that you just expressed helps other people to understand they're not alone. That's very helpful.
Just 4 more questions. During and after the COVID-19 epidemic, many spiritual groups expressed negative perceptions concerning the vaccinations. The fact is that some seem to be seriously negatively affected by it. So what is the truth? Are more people protected by the vaccines than harmed, or the opposite? How can one make the choice to be vaccinated or not? I have people around me that believe that they do more harm. I doubt that, but I'd like to know what the truth is.
The reality is you had an influx. We actually spoke about it before COVID-19. You had an influx of Atlantean energy coming through. It brought about advances in biology. It wasn't necessarily the COVID vaccine that helped people to get over this. It was the delivery system that was the miracle to uncover. That delivery system of mRNA is still in use today, and the reality is it's helping so many people. That's where the fears came in. Typically, a vaccine would take a couple of years. This one came about very quickly. There was a lot of concern about it. Now, also, in the United States, this has been abused before. There have been times where literally colored people in the United States were given vaccines of a lesser degree, of a lesser possibility, and even tried to influence people through the vaccines. This has been abused before. You have a history of that on the planet. So a healthy skepticism is proper. Every single person must decide what is right for them. Very simple. If there's a resistance to it, leave it. If you wish to have it, use it. We will tell you the keeper came from a time when he was born, when you were just eradicating one of the most horrible things on your planet. And he even had friends who actually had that disease, who had gimp arms and had difficult legs because their mother did not believe in the vaccines. So you have to choose. There's no right or wrong about all of it. We will tell you they were not intentionally trying to do something. They were intentionally trying to save the world. It's very simple. Now, that does not necessarily mean that your large pharmaceutical industries are always in your favor. They were actually doing that at that point. There was even one that you know quite well on planet Earth that actually did not charge for the vaccines. They were making plenty of money in other areas, so they simply decided to give it out and to give it to other countries free of charge. This is astounding from our side of the veil. Now, it was also taken as being trying to control people, trying to give it to people to control them in some ways. Each of you must decide what's right for you, what goes into your body, what's going to help. We will tell you the keeper took all of the vaccines, never did get it, never had a challenge. So it's up to you what works for you and what doesn't. There's no right or wrong about all of it. But we will tell you that in the beginning, this was very fearful on planet Earth. And many of your pharmaceutical industries came to the call and actually responded in positive ways. It's a shame that much of it was feared. And even today, there's all the pointing of vaccines. The CDC in the United States is going in a wild direction in that area now. And it's interesting because every doctor is now ignoring the CDC, which is really a shame. So there's much energy going in that. It's really not up to the CDC. It's not up to the doctors. It's up to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, what is the final goal of this reincarnational process of free will? Can a person achieve that goal, or do we need to do it all together since we're one being, ultimately one being?
Ultimately, everything must be done together. That is the collective vibration that we talk about when we talk about the second, the third, the fourth, and the fifth dimensions. Those are collective vibrations. Now, each one of you can reach very high levels of the fifth dimension, but if the rest of the world is still in levels of the third dimension, there are times where you must come down, as we mentioned, deal with your children, deal with their illnesses, deal with your commitments, your jobs, your whatever it is in the third dimension, and come back up. So you are the way showers, dear ones. You are the ones that actually believe there is the higher realm to step into rather than focusing and fighting your way through the density of the third dimension. As such, you are the human angels. You have opened the possibility for everyone to follow when they are ready. But as the collective vibration changes, everyone's influenced by it. It's beautiful to watch from our side of the veil. Well done, humans. Well done.
So our change is actually the change of humanity. Every time we change in some way, humanity changes.
Butterfly flaps its wings in South America, turns into a hurricane off the coast of the east coast of the United States. Absolutely. You're connected.
Well, I'm deeply grateful, Steve, and the group for everything. And I'm grateful not just as a person, but for what you're doing for humanity. And I'm following the Lightworker course, and I'm enjoying that. And your speech about 2026 was very interesting. All these kinds of things that are going to happen. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Spavo, my friend, you are reaching into the world in very powerful ways. And your students, those that listen, you're on a beautiful path. Hang on to it. Do not be dissuaded by the challenges you see. Take them as beautiful aspects. And just before you open that letter, decide your reality. Enjoy the journey, dear ones. It's with the greatest of honor we ask you to treat each other with respect, nurture one another, and play well together. Spabo.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Did I tire you?
No, it doesn't tire me. It makes me kind of dingy. I have to come back many times. If I have a technical problem, I can't resolve it because I'm not all, Steve's not all there at that point. So, but I'm good. Thank you for doing this, Robert. Beautiful work.
Thank you. And you're welcome to share it with your people. I think they will find it useful.
We'll do it. We'll put it.
It will take time for us to translate it. I may do it in sections and gradually put it.
Sounds great. Thank you, my friend.
Okay. Have a wonderful day.
Hey, do you have this recording or do you want me to send it to you?
I want you to send it to me.
Will do. I'll send it to you right away.
Okay.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Love.
Love you.